All right, time for another Nerdy Virgin podcast. My name is Joshua Snyder. I did not lose my virginity until I was 32, hence me recording a podcast alone 2 times a week, every week for 4 years. And I think there's a couple of people in Spain who are listening. And the idea behind doing this is I want to headline more, and so I want to get used to doing an hour and just talking through an hour. And whereas every major working headlining comedian today would say that I need to be prepared and have material, when I go into this podcast, I have nothing prepared. I have no material. I'm just talking into my phone. It's not even the right kind of microphone for an hour. So it's very uneven. It may work, it may not work. There's half thought out premises. There might be a punchline or two, but literally only 2 punchlines, maybe sometimes 0 punchlines. It's by every stretch of the imagination the exact opposite of quality. But nevertheless, I must persevere. You know what it is? I'm getting to the point where I would rather have a conversation with myself just so that I don't have to worry about somebody disagreeing with me. I would rather be right in a vacuum. I would rather be right in a vacuum than possibly wrong in a community. That's what the pandemic has taught me. What's it taught you? How did you grow and change from the pandemic? I've become a misanthrope. So I was asked, hey, do you want to go see a movie? And I still feel a little uncomfortable going to see movies because of the whole pandemic thing. Like I haven't seen a movie. I haven't eaten out at a restaurant. I just get stuff to go, or I eat a sandwich at work, and that's been my diet for the past year and a half. And I feel rather actually surprisingly okay about it. And I don't know if I don't feel comfortable going out quite yet. The irony is that I'm eating a ton of sugar, which is probably much worse for me than breathing the air that other people are breathing, considering we're all vaccinated, or I'm vaccinated. I don't know about anybody else. But I still feel weird about it. I feel weird about it, my friends. I feel weird about it. And maybe it's also something to do with, the irony is that I work at a comedy club and I'm, in a room full of people laughing and talking, and yet I'm still afraid to go to a movie, which is, what's the word for it? Stupid. I'd probably safer at the movie, technically. But I don't know. This is the thing. I don't know. Pfizer is saying we're going to need a booster shot soon. The FCC, it's the Federal Communications. The CDC is saying we don't need one right now. We're fine now. Everyone's saying something different. I don't know. 2 weeks ago, I was afraid to take off the mask. Then I got used to taking off the mask. Then they said, "Man, maybe you should put the mask back on." And I'm done. I don't know. And you know what? Maybe they don't know. Maybe nobody knows. Maybe we're entering a no man's land. We're entering an I don't know land of what's going to happen with this pandemic. That's probably more realistically what's going on. Nobody knows for sure. And perhaps this whole pandemic has just simply lifted the veil of perceived superiority that we have over nature and over the destiny of our lives. And we must remind ourselves that we don't know every day. We don't know. We could be hit by a car. We could be hit by a meteorite. Somebody could come up and slap us with a dolphin, which would be a highly unlikely scenario. But then again, not impossible. Being slapped with a dolphin could be, it's possible for somebody to go to the ocean, charter a boat, and the captain says, what do you just want to see the coast? The guy says, I want to catch a dolphin. And the captain says, I don't even think that's legal. What are you going to do with the dolphin? He said, there's a guy I want to slap in the face with a dolphin. You're going to catch a dolphin and slap somebody in the face with it. Correct. Why do you want to do that? Because it's never been done before. But don't you think that's a bit harsh for the dolphin? Don't you think all of life is a bit harsh? Life is harsh. There is no God. There is no fate. We live in a hostile and a different universe. And you know what? Dolphins know when they swim out into the ocean that there's a chance they could be scooped up and used as a blunt object to slap somebody in the face. It comes with the territory. It's part and parcel. Yeah, but it's just tough. So that's what we're going to have to figure out. What was I saying? I was interrupted. There was texting. I had to go handle some texting stuff. Maybe this is what I need. I need to work on allowing myself to have a bit more boundaries. Maybe my personal boundaries are not up as much as they should be, that I need to establish personal boundaries a bit more. But I haven't talked to anyone. I'm trying to, my boss earlier this week, she's like, you know what? You just need to hang out with friends and just hang out more. And I'm like, but I want to be around fewer people. I think my downtime involves hiking to the mountains and being alone, like Robert Redford. What was that movie? Wasn't it called Jeremiah something? Wasn't all he wanted to do was walk around in the mountains, and people kept bothering him. Wasn't that the plot of the thing? I just want to walk around in the mountains. And there's that, amazing scene where he's alone in the mountains and he finally starts to feel like he's at peace. And then somebody comes up and hits him in the back of the head with a dolphin. And it's just, he's like, come on, I don't need this. Where'd you get that dolphin? Oh, I hired a captain and he went out and we caught it. And then I brought it here to hit you in the face. Why? To prove a point. What God would allow that to happen? So you're trying to prove existentialism by capturing a dolphin and then hitting me in the face with it. Correct. But what if God did mean for that to happen? What if that dolphin was fated to be used as an instrument to be slapped in my face? What if you are just fulfilling, without realizing it, a plan? I hadn't thought of it that way. You're right. We'll never know, one way or the other. Maybe we should return the dolphin to the ocean now. It's not looking well. No dolphin was harmed in the making of this podcast. That's cheesy. See, that's cheesy. That is very cheesy. People-pleasing, but that's what bothers me. That's what I keep coming back to. People-pleasing. I just can't handle all the people-pleasing. I don't know what to make of it. I don't know what to make of it. Having trouble concentrating right now because I'm worried about work stuff. This goes back to boundaries. This is where I need to deal with boundaries. I need to deal with boundaries. I need to create boundaries. I need to have a bit more of a rigid schedule. I think that's what needs to happen. And I don't think I'm working hard enough at the stuff I want to work at. That's the other thing too. I'm not working hard enough to do what I want to do. I need to be pushing more, getting out there more, putting more energy into all that, my friends. That is what I need to be doing. Going after it is what I need to be doing. And that might be rewarding and nice and rewarding, right? That might be the next step. You know what? That's the other thing. As we enter this, I'm not going to call it post-pandemic. By the way, this has been something that's been bothering me. I'm hearing people starting to say there's a light at the end of the tunnel where, it's post-pandemic. Let's not call it yet. Let's not call it a victory yet. It's still raging in many parts of the world, including this one. This is current pandemic. This is sustained pandemic. This is, I don't think this thing is ever going to go away. Pandemic. That's what this is. And they're saying it's not going to be as bad as last winter. Yeah, we don't know. 2 winters ago, we had no idea it was going to be this bad. Nobody knows. The only thing that's constant is we can take it day by day. I can take it day by day and go from there. That's all I can do. But yeah, we're living in this post-pandemic world. And the virus is like, excuse me, I'm still in the room. I can hear what you're saying, and I beg to differ. Well, we will certainly see what happens. I know I'm holding my face too close to the mic, and I enjoy doing that. Why do I enjoy doing that? Because then I don't feel like I have to scream as much, even though I think I'm better when I scream. In space, nobody can hear you scream. Greatest tagline to a movie ever. Greatest tagline to When Harry Met Sally. People were confused. What? This is the tagline to When Harry Met Sally in space? Does it take place in space? So can you tell me what happened in your own words? Yes, Your Honor. I was camping with my family in the woods, and this strange loner of a man who was played by Robert Redford walked in and was just standing there taking in the beauty of it all. And then a man came from behind and hit him in the back of the head with a dolphin. I did not I was not able to tell whether the dolphin was male or female. But I, if need be, could point out the dolphin in a lineup. Your Honor, I represent the dolphin, and as the attorney for the dolphin, I just want to say that the whole notion that the dolphin is also being charged in the assault of the Robert Redford character from that Jeremiah movie is fundamentally ridiculous. The dolphin had no choice. The dolphin was taken out of his natural habitat and used as a blunt object. Your Honor, as prosecution, I would just like to point out that we have attained evidence, a phone call between the defendant and the dolphin, where they planned to make it look like the dolphin had been kidnapped. Your Honor, the dolphin is the one behind it. The dolphin is Kaiser Soze, Your Honor. The dolphin is Kaiser Soze. Well, this has just gotten ridiculous, hasn't it? This has just gotten ridiculous. This podcast has gone off the rails. Which, I wonder, going off the rails, a reference I would think to a train. Ooh, we should look that up. Where did that come? Well, obviously, I would think it's a reference to the train that became this metaphor, right? Gone off the rails? Let's see. I'm going to Google it right now. I got the definition, but do they give the history? I got it. All right, gone off the rails, origin. Did you like that pause there? In use since the mid-1800s and is a reference to a train derailment. When a train goes off the rails, it is no longer progressing along its preordained track and is uncontrollable and chaotic. Yeah, I mean, that's... I doubt, though, that the phrase was used in the same way that it was used when a train actually went off the rails. Like, I wonder what the origin of it was. That train really went off the rails. Literally, it went off the rails. Boy, you could say it went off the rails. I just did say it went off the rails. This podcast has really gone off the rails. Sorry, I was just hit by a dolphin. Callback. Right? This really has gone off the rails. This was not at all what I was planning on talking about for the measure of an hour. Not at all what I was planning on talking about at all. Not at all. But I will tell you in no uncertain terms. I like that phrase, in no uncertain terms. I will tell you in no uncertain terms. If they were truly not uncertain terms, it should obviously be not uncertain terms. Shouldn't it? I will tell you in no uncertain terms, don't eat the pasta, instead of don't eat the pasta. Why'd you eat the pasta? Well, He didn't say the phrase "no uncertain terms," so I was uncertain. Maybe he said, "Don't eat the spaghetti," and he meant that the penne was okay in no uncertain terms. I will tell you in no uncertain terms that this podcast has gone off the rails. And the phone is ringing right now. I need to put it on Do Not Disturb. I'm not answering the phone. But it has to be a ring like that. And you know what I've noticed? Here's what I've noticed about ringings and phone ringings and the phone. That, because people they can make anything their ring now on cell phones. Songs, sounds, whatever. But what I find fascinating is that as soon as any sound is equated with the ringing of the phone, it becomes loud and annoying. Just psychologically, once it is determined. Like, I think if somebody recorded the Buddha talking after the Buddha was enlightened, giving a lecture on how to achieve oneness with the universe, if somebody recorded that and then used it as the ringtone, it would instantly, somebody's phone's going off. What you need to do is separate your body from your mind and yet realize that the mind could somebody shut that off? We're in the middle of a courtroom drama here, all right? We're trying to figure out if the dolphin was the one behind the scenes. Turn off your phones. That's what I've noticed about phones. There you go. Throw that out there. That's what I've noticed about phones. Did you ever notice? Did you ever notice? Did you ever notice how? Did you ever notice how? Is that all stand-up comedy? There's a period in 1987 to 1992 where all stand-up comedy was. Did you ever notice? Did you ever notice? Did you ever notice? Did you ever notice? That's why Darkside never really made it as a comedian, because he refused to approach it with that much humbleness. He would start one of his setups with, "I've noticed that phone ring sounds are always annoying." And people just, they didn't connect with him comedically. They did not connect with what he was doing comedically, and so he kind of gave up on the stand-up pretty quickly. Tried a few places, got up at a few places. Had a reasonable 5 minutes, but it's not the life he wanted to lead. Went back to destroying the universe. I think the plot, I believe, is that he's looking for the anti-life equation, which I think is the death equation, right? I seek the anti-life equation. You mean the death equation? It's not called the death equation. It is called the anti-life equation. But it's an equation that leads to death, right? Yes. Well, shouldn't it be called the death? It's called the anti-life. I have a dolphin. I have a dolphin. That's all I'm going to say. I have a dolphin. Well, I think we've covered a lot here in this. So far, we're at about where are we at about the half hour? 24 minutes in. All right. About the halfway point. The halfway point, getting used to just talking at length. I think we made a few discoveries so far. I'm feeling pretty good about it. Is the Bravo network still around? There's a printer in my office. It's called, I think the brand name is Bravo. I saw Bravo. Remember Bravo? Inside the Extra Studio? Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, and I think one other program, and that was Bravo. And then they showed, I think, independent films, right? Is it Bravo still around? It's probably an app now. Bravo app. You click on the app and you get 2 minutes of culture. Maybe that's what it is. You get 2 minutes of something, 2 minutes of quality art of some kind, just beamed into your brain. Bravo is going to be a brain implant soon, as with everything else. Did you get the Bravo implant? Oh yeah, 24/7. Right now I'm listening to a podcast about the history of Sam Beckett plays. Fantastic. Love this Bravo chip. Love this Bravo brain implant. What do you have? Oh, I have the Spike TV brain implant. Right now I'm learning about the history of the Ford F-150. Then you got to, well, I can either get 10 implants or I can get a bundle that's all the implants in one implant. I think in 100 years from now, we're not going to have brains. Our brain is going to just be an app. They're going to take out the brain, put it in an app. That's all we're going to be. And every conversation would be, did you see this latest episode of Blurpity Blurp? And the response will be, I don't have that app. And that will be the beginning and end of every conversation. Did you see this? I don't have that. Great. Fantastic. So, where are we at? What's going on? What's the skinny? What's happening? How are we looking? I'm feeling a tremendous amount of consternation. Is that the word? Fear and consternation. That's how I would describe it. That is definitely how I would describe it. Fear. Fear of what? By the way, I am making this distinction that fear is not an action. Fear is an emotion. And I have been saying, well, I'm too afraid to do this. And the reality is the fear has nothing to do with whether or not I do it. I do something or not do something because I choose to do something or not do something, and the fear is the emotion around that. So it's not that I am too afraid to date, it's that I am choosing not to date. And I have to be okay with the consequences of that. And I think from what I've seen, the consequences of that is I'm not aggravated. And that is working for me right now. Am I lonely? Am I existentially adrift? Does my soul feel starved and lost in darkness? Yes. But on the other hand, I'm not fighting with somebody every day. And that's the nice thing about loneliness. Loneliness is having total freedom to watch whatever I want on Netflix. That's pretty cool. And in the end, maybe we're all lonely. And in the end, maybe there's no such thing as a soulmate. I don't even think that should be the term. I think in America, it's not a husband and wife. They're not lovers. It's not a soulmate. I think in America, more accurately, it is a healthcare partner. Especially when couples are getting older. I'm watching my parents as they are getting older, and they are becoming they are independently licensed healthcare partners. And they are each other's nurse, and they are, providing homeopathic care. That's more what that is. I think that's closer. I don't even think we should. No, you don't get married. It's a health plan. That's what it is. I mean, it's even in marriage. Will you be with this person even in sickness and in health? That's not a marriage. That's not marriage. That's Kaiser Permanente. I remember I talked to someone who said, yeah, you should get together with someone because I don't have anybody and I'm afraid of growing old alone. And, I gotta start thinking about health plan. I guess it's also that notion that we are, I guess, sort of a group species and we work well in groups and, I'm not a cat. Cat can manage on its own most of the time. I'm very jealous of cats. Does a cat care what you think of the cat? That's freedom right there. I feel like the default emotional state of the cat is, what are you and why are you in my line of sight? Are you food? No. Then don't talk to me. All right, should we check out some movie news? We're halfway through the podcast. I think it's movie news time. darkhorizons.com. Let's check out some movie news. Ooh, they're doing a new Fletch. That was Chevy Chase did that, right? Oh, John Hamm is Fletch? Oh, interesting. They're saying the new film is expected to more follow the plot of the book instead of the movie with Chevy Chase. Wow. I like that. I like the Chevy Chase Fletch movies. I found them. I think I liked them both. Right? Because there were two. But this is good. Different interpretation is always a good thing, I suppose. I gotta say, Chevy Chase. Those Chevy Chase movies. Fletch. I think that was one of my favorite Chevy Chase movies. Of all the Chevy Chase movies he did. I almost said of all the Chevy Chase movies I did. That's my new career. That's my career goal. Is I want to make Chevy Chase movies. I want to remake them with Chevy Chase now, and just word for word, plot, shot for shot, like when they did that shot for shot Psycho remake. That's what I would want to do with Fletch. Just a shot for shot remake. We keep everything the same soundtrack, same cast. If there's anyone in the cast who's dead, we spend millions of dollars on computer-generated imagery. Yeah, I want to do the kind of art where people go, how much did you spend for that? He's a private investigator. What is going on with the private investigators? Oh, I may have to... Getting another text. See, boundaries, man. Boundaries. Getting another text. What if I ignored it? What if I ignored the text? What if I just kept podcasting? Like that scene at the end of Thelma and Louise. Just keep... What did she say? Just keep driving? Just keep podcasting. Just keep podcasting. That is what I would say. But the private investigator, I want to go back to this concept. There's this romance around the idea of a private investigator. And every time I've seen interviews with real private investigators, nothing seems less romantic than the actual job of being a private investigator. It does not look like Magnum PI in real life. I don't understand, by the way, how Magnum PI I vaguely remember watching some episodes of Magnum PI. And Tom Selleck is great. It was always fun to watch him. But there is... I mean, at the end of the day, can anyone escape? He's on an island. He's on Hawaii. Well, we make sure he can't get to the airport. All right, then I think it's only a matter of time then. He can hide in the rainforest for a minute, or I think it's going to be pretty easy to handle this. There's nowhere he can run. Don't let him get away. Yeah, sure. Go. Try to swim. Go for it. I suppose they could always try to... I mean, as long as you got the airport covered, is there really any way that any bad guy in Magnum PI can ever escape? Oh, boats. What am I thinking? Boats. He's got a boat. If he has a boat, he could escape and be at sea for days. But even then, now we'll just send a helicopter out. I mean, it's hard to escape an island on a boat when you're being chased by the military. Yeah, that's interesting thought. All right. Rod Laurie to helm. A currently untitled film about how independent journalist and blogger Claire Rucastle Brown blew the lid off of the 1MDB scandal. Oh, interesting. So this is historical fiction. And, involves bringing down corrupt leaders. That kind of thing. That'll be that'll be a good epic thriller movie. Well acted. Probably win a couple of Oscars. And I will never see it because it doesn't take place on a spaceship. Now, if the main character got hit by a dolphin, and that was part of the true story, then I'd be there. But the based on a true story notion, they always love to do based on a true story. And that always feels like they always use that as a selling point. This is based on a true story. Okay. I mean, I'm fine if the movie's good and it's not based on a true story, but it's, there's logic to the plot and it's well acted. I'm fine with that too, but it almost sometimes feels like it's used as a Band-Aid. Like, there's major plot holes in here. Yeah, but that's the story. It was based on a true story. That's what happened. There were plot holes in the real story. The guy was almost about to get away with swindling billions of dollars and then out of nowhere hit with a dolphin. It happened. We're basing this entire movie off of that New York Times article. It almost feels... Sometimes when I see a movie that says based on a true story, I almost feel like they're saying, there's no way you can criticize us because this is just what happened. It's critic proof. What? We're just holding up a mirror to nature. So if you don't like us, you really don't like yourself. That's what that means. Justin Chambers is set to portray Marlon Brando in the limited series The Offer. It's a 10-episode event series about the making of The Godfather. I've heard that they were making this, and I've been thinking to myself, who are we really clamoring for this? Shouldn't we just watch The Godfather? Did anyone leave The Godfather and go, it's a great movie, but you know what I want to see? I want to see the movie about the making of the movie. I want to see a scene where somebody says, "We can't cast Brando." And then somebody else says, "We have to cast Brando. Brando's perfect for it." And then the first person says, "I refuse to cast Brando." So it's going to be a limited event series about people arguing. And we know how it turns out. That's, it's in a weird way, it's this kind of, I mean, I get you could argue that it's historical fiction. We know how it turns out. But hey, how dare you criticize this series, Josh? This is based on a true story. This is a mirror. Maybe you're really criticizing yourself. Maybe you don't want to see the story behind the scenes of your story. Maybe that's what it is. A series adaptation of Boom Studios' horror comic Something is Killing the Children. A town plagued by monsters that feast on children, with one teen survivor telling tales that no adult believes. Into this scenario enters a mysterious young woman named Erica Slaughter, good last name, who occasionally converses with her stuffed animal. She isn't there to mince words, but rather to mince monsters. Interesting. That sounds kind of cool. There's something I've always, I don't know, it's this fairy tale notion of when children are threatened, and the drama behind that is always, well, I was almost going to say it's compelling, which sounds creepy that I'm saying, it's stories where children are threatened is compelling. That sounds like I should be arrested. But I think for me, I like those stories because I think there is a part of me that has I think there's a part of most adults. I think there's a sense of wanting to protect the young. I've finally met, one of my cousins for the first time a few years ago. And I remember, I'd spent the day with him. I'd never met him before, don't see him much. And I began to feel this thought of being protective of, I want nothing bad to happen to this person. We've got to make sure that my genetics, even though he's my second, cousin twice removed, we got to make sure that my genetics live on. Can you imagine a world without my genetics? Who will podcast to no one then? No, I wish for only the best for this person. So I think that when you see movies where somebody is saving the children, like interesting, the two James Cameron movies, Aliens and Terminator 2, both involve the main character protecting a child. And that probably of both franchises are the two most popular movies. And I think there's just something very primal about that, the need to protect the next generation. And this has been your TED Talk on protecting the next generation. That's what that is. That's what this is. That's what that has been. Yeah, I don't know why, but I feel that whole conversation felt very awkward that I just had with myself. Because I'm just paranoid that, because I'm single, and I'm a single adult nearing 40s, which means if I talk about children, if I'm near children, I feel awkward and I feel weird. I'm like, I shouldn't be here. Like under the natural state, it would only make sense to be around family or to have kids of my own. Then that makes sense. But beyond that, I guess my fear is I am perceived as a weirdo and a freak, which is odd because I can't I have no muscles, so I don't think I'm a threat. But even this is, like, even me talking about this is freaking me out right now. That I think my fear is that like one day I'm like walking to 7-Eleven and then I walk back to the apartment and then a day later I'm arrested and like there's been like this child abduction and they're like, well, you were near it and you're alone and a loser. You drive a Honda. It was you. And I'm like, no, I didn't do anything. I was just eating gummy bears. Gummy bears, huh? There's a dolphin in your trunk. That was planted. I'm telling you, the dolphin is behind it all. Yeah, that actually looks cool. See, Netflix, they have their pulse. They have their pulse on it. I don't know what that means. Silverhawks cartoon gets a revival. Silverhawks. I've talked about Silverhawks before. I have to talk about Silverhawks again. How can they fly through space in a vacuum with their skin exposed like that? How can they glide in a vacuum? They have wings and they're gliding, but they are in a vacuum. I don't see a propulsion system on these hawks. You can't glide in a vacuum. This cartoon came out in the 80s. People had been to space. They know what space is. You can't glide in a How? There's a silver hawk who wears a cowboy hat. Actually, the cowboy hat would probably stay on in a vacuum because there's no air resistance that would push it off. All right, well, I'll allow the cowboy hat then. But these are aliens. How would he... Why does he need a cowboy hat in space? I mean, I guess there is a glare from the stars. But the whole point of the cowboy hat is to protect you from the sun and the heat. But they also have visors. The cowboy hat is purely decorative on this Silverhawk. Purely decorative. Are they even human? If they're not even human, how does he know about the cowboy hat and he has a guitar? He has a guitar. The Silverhawk has a guitar. I mean, I guess there's no problem with that. I mean, maybe that's a prejudice on my part. Let's take Superman as an example. Superman, greatest hero in the DC universe. But why do I get the feeling that if Superman suddenly took out a guitar and just started to play it and he said, I do this for, I'm not trying to make a living at this, I would immediately go, I don't like that guy. All this and he can play guitar and he thinks he can play guitar? Really? And maybe that's just I guess that's a prejudice against people with guitars that I didn't know I had until I was recording this podcast. Why does he have a handkerchief? You can't sweat in space. Can they even sweat? What are they? They look like cyborgs. He is pointing the guitar at us as if it also doubles as a weapon, which I think that it did. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. The lead Silverhawk, why is it that one hand is totally covered in silver, but the other hand is just an exposed regular human hand? Did they run out of silver? We covered everything except your hand. But I have to fly through space. Isn't that going to destroy my hand? Hey, you're a Silverhawk. put on this cowboy hat. I'm not putting on a cowboy hat. This is the one show where if somebody slapped another person with a dolphin, I think it would fit the show. Looking at the Silverhawks too, and the main Silverhawk and the female Silverhawk, their hair is also silver. Yeah, their hair is also silver. I don't even know if it's hair. On the guy, it kind of looks more like a helmet. But on the female Silverhawk, it looks like she's wearing a helmet that has been molded to look like hair and is silver. Who are these creatures? These creatures are terrifying. Were they born? Were they created? Is it ever explained? Why is he wearing a cowboy hat? Why is the young Silverhawk, the Silverhawk kid, an orange color and all the other ones are bluish gray? Who built these? Who created us? All right. I think the next episode has to be a full deep dive into Silverhawks. I think that's what has to happen. That's what has to happen. We have to take a deep dive into Silverhawks. I don't have enough time now. We're at the end of this podcast. All right. Well, yeah. Cool. I think this is all right. I would just like to end by saying I apologize if I offended anybody, and hopefully none of this will be said and used against me in a court of law, where I'm being accused by a dolphin of being punched, of being the one who coerced the dolphin into hitting a guy in the back of the head. And they're like, well, we have this podcast that we asked the jury to listen to, and the jury's like, we don't want to listen to this podcast. Look at the stats. No one can do that. No one.